Welcome to episode 7 of the Jeff and Jersey podcast.
We do reactions and post-game analysis of the NBA.
I'm Jersey.
I'm Jeff.
And first off, on this episode, we are going to get started with something new that we're bringing to this episode.
Yep.
We thought it would kind of engage you guys a little bit more, engage the watchers. It also creates some content for our TikTok. If you haven't already followed us and liked some stuff over on TikTok, we've gotten some good engagement to start with, hundreds of likes, hundreds of views. We even got one video that had 11,000 watches. We really appreciate all the support over there. I've recognized a lot of names. We're following people back, so I've appreciated that. But that being said, we're starting every episode and then ending it with the answer. We're starting with a trivia question, ending the episode with an answer. So if you want to type in the comments what you think the answer to this question is, then check at the very end. It's the last thing we're going to end the video with is the answer to this trivia question. And let us know in the comments if you got it right, if you got it wrong, what you were thinking. And we'll respond. We're really responsive. This week's question, and the theme of this podcast is Unsung Heroes.
Yep.
It's great role players. It's guys who never really got the recognition that they deserved. And the king of that is Dennis Rodman.
I don't know if there's anyone even really close.
Dennis Rodman is this week's trivia question, and the question is, in his 14-year career, so he played 14 seasons in the NBA, how many of those seasons did Dennis Rodman record more points than rebounds? So more points total than rebounds. How many of those seasons in his 14-year career? We'll let you know at the very end of the episode what the answer to that is. But now we're going to get started on our weekend recap since our last episode on Thursday. We're going to start with the Knicks. We just finished watching the Knicks game. I just wanted to rant about the Knicks a little bit. It hasn't been a lot to talk about other than we've been struggling. Yep. Starting unit's been struggling. You've seen that. The bench has been carrying us. Thank God for Derrick Rose and Emmanuel Quickly turning it on. He started the year super rough. He started the year like the third point guard on a good team. You know, that weird role, like I haven't even relating it to your Celtics. Pritchard hasn't had a great start to the year.
Yeah, that's kind of a perfect
the third guard, young, new to the league. And so it's obviously their second year, that type of thing. And so I've seen that, but Quickly as of late has really stepped it up. He's carrying the offense anytime the ball's not in Rose's hands when they're on the floor. So shout out to him. RJ hit a big shot tonight. But I just have to do a little call out. Knicks Film School did it. I got to do it. Julius Randle's got to step up for this team. For this team to win, Julius has got to be a better player. Tonight, the energy was a little better, but he's just not making shots. That's what I love about this team is that if they do bring the energy, they have chances to win games. The shots don't always have to fall. Kemba had a good game, but I just wanted to talk about the Knicks real quick. Yeah. We can move on.
Anytime they're at home, it feels like they have a chance to win.
Yeah,
with the energy in the crowd, getting them back into the game and stuff, and
the fan base has been great. Obviously, when we're competitive, it changes because then when we were bad, we still had crazy Knick crowds because it's MSG. But now it's
every single night.
So shout out the Knicks getting back on the right track with the win. But now we're going to get to some of the more interesting, more intriguing storylines from the weekend. The first thing I noticed was Kevin Durant was the Eastern Conference Player of the Week. And the Nets are rolling. They're 10-4.
Yeah. KD, who I had as MVP.
Me too. I did too.
He was Eastern Conference Player of the Week shooting. So his true shooting, if you don't know, is all of 2-point, 3-point, and free throw percentage combined. And his is at 76%. And the league average is 55.
Yeah.
Something like
Kevin Durant, what he's doing offensively is as efficient as we've ever seen a scorer of his caliber.
Yeah.
He's not a big. He's
he's leading the league in scoring, but he's not even top 10 in field goals attempted, which is just ridiculous. The efficiency that he's shooting at right now is insane. We say this, he is getting better. Yeah. Which makes absolutely no sense. Both him and Steph are just getting better as they're getting older.
And I even we'll bring it back to what we saw Kobe late in his career. Yeah. Everything he did earlier was with more skill, more precision, the angles were better. Kevin Durant, when we saw him scoring in 2013-14, in 2012, 2011, when he entered the league and had that run of scoring titles, we saw a dude off pure skill, pure shot making, pure all that. now he's had a decade to refine the skills.
Yeah.
And it's so pure. If you haven't watched a Nets game, you really got to turn a Nets game on. I know they're mainstream now with all the stars and
just
the
keep
the
your
title
eyes
hopes.
on Kevin Durant. I don't just tune in and watch him play. It is just he makes every shot look so easy.
Yeah.
It's just almost unfair.
And to move to the next guy that really keeps the Nets rolling is Harden.
Yep.
Harden's looked better as
Yes.
of late. He's playing more of his game, I think, instead of like we expect him to score 30 because that's what we've seen James Harden do, but he's a really good passer. He's getting all the other guys involved. They have a good enough team for him to just go out there and make sure everyone touches the ball. I saw him get Joe Harris a couple good looks the other night.
Yeah, he had a good game this week. I think he had like 15 points on 5 threes or something like that.
Yeah. He doesn't need to score 30 for this team to win.
Right. With Harden, he does look better. There's still some questionable things, obviously, but like we said with Joe Harris, he has to be better too because like he's played pretty good. Like I said, he had 15 points on 5 threes. Because like early in the season, it was like you check the box score and he's like 1 for 8 from 3, and it's like he's just not helping at that point.
And him playing well and shooting the ball well
It's
also allows Harden to not have to shoot as many threes.
Yeah, because they can't help off of Joe Harris if he's hit 4 threes in the game already.
Now Harden can get downhill to the lane, get an open lane, or if they do help off and he's shooting well, Harden has the confidence to get him the ball. So the Nets are rolling. They started the year not slow, but just a couple sputters with Harden playing bad and things like that. But now the Nets, they look like a team who's going to be a top 3 seed, like I obviously projected them to be.
Right.
I think they'll be the 2 seed. I don't know if they're going to try and win as many games to get that 1 seed,
won't.
but they could. I mean, right now teams like are losing games, and the 1 seed or whatever is the Wizards or whatever it is right now. And
it feels like things are like gonna turn around.
At some point.
Because like last year, the Magic started at 8-3.
Yeah.
And then lost like 16 of their next 19 or something like that. So it feels like now is when teams are gonna start kicking into gear, and we really kind of get an idea of what like teams are actually gonna look like.
Yeah. That first month, kind of where the dudes who trained all off season and I want my chance, they're going to come out with fire. They start to slow down a little bit, and then the dudes who are really the superstars of the league really elevate their game and rise. Right. Next, we got Clippers beating the Heat on Friday. Clippers are winning games now, and it's coming obviously off of PG's MVP type performances, but they got 18 from Zubats, 22 from Reggie Jackson, 21 from Bledsoe. This is exactly what we said the Clippers needed to win big games.
Yeah, they need a balance.
They need 4 or 5 guys above 15 points. They need balanced scoring attack.
It doesn't have to come from like a set group of players either, because Terrence Mann can do it, Luke Kennard can do it, Batum can do it, even like Ibaka can do it when he comes back. But they just need like a balanced, like steady group of scoring. It doesn't have to be the same people every night, but obviously PG has to get 25 to 30 every night, but he has to be surrounded by 20, 22, 15, 17.
Yeah.
Like
the bench has got to score at least 30 for them, because they play their bench. They're playing 9, 10, 11 guys, and so the bench has really got to score 30.
Yep.
Yeah. They played the Heat in that one. The Heat are missing Jimmy.
Yeah.
And so the Heat look like a different team when Jimmy's not on the floor.
You can't judge him without.
He's kind of their pace, like where I feel like Dragic did well at that when Jimmy wasn't on the floor for that year that they were together, or 2 years. Yeah,
I think it was 2 years.
So whenever he'd come off the floor, I feel like Goran Dragic kept the pace of the team well. But now Hero's kind of a sped up player. I think Lowry will take over a little more of that. But he's just got to get
set in.
But Lowry's always been the player to get the inbound and just go, and try and get into the paint.
They don't have that guy that can slow things down, because like Hero now being in the starting lineup, he's just go. Yeah. So it's like they are a completely different team without him. He just sets the tone every single night of them playing hard, playing good defense, like being sped up when they need to be, but not all the time. Like, it feels like they are without
slowing
him.
the game down into the half court where they have so many good bucket getters like Hero and stuff. One thing I noticed from this team was that they only had 19 bench points in this game against the Clippers, but that's what happens when you move Hero to the starting lineup. You kind of miss out on your creator off the bench, playing with some of those other like good role players like the Martin kid and guys like that. Good role players, but they're just not creators, and so they missed Hero. on the bench there. They needed to kind of separate Lowry and Hero's minutes a little more. It's just they lost to a good team. The Clippers are a good team.
Yep. It'll be interesting to see how they handle Victor Oladipo coming back. Because if he's like actually healthy and can play, that's going to be interesting having him and Hero coming off the bench.
I would almost start Hero. I'm not even going to lie to you. Because
who would you have come off the bench, Robinson?
I would probably have... Oh, that's tough.
But I mean, Robinson has struggled recently.
That's true. I don't know. That's so tough because, I mean, I watch the Heat, but I'm not...
I think it depends on the Oladipo that you get.
Yeah.
I think obviously he has to come off the bench to start.
Yeah.
To get eased back into things because he's played like 30 games in like 3 years.
Yeah, 3 years because he got hurt in Indiana. Mm-hmm. Barely played for Houston. Played a couple games for Miami and then got hurt or whatever.
So I think you got to see the player that he is. If he is good enough, then it'll be interesting to see how they handle it. I don't know if I have a suggestion.
It's kind of a good storyline coming forward.
Yeah, we got to follow that.
We got to look.
I don't know if there's a timetable for him right now, but that's something that we'll have to keep an eye on.
Yep. Sticking with the Heat, so they lost to the Clippers, obviously, but before that, they beat the Jazz. It was a late scare. Before we get to those details, so they didn't have Jimmy.
Yeah.
Hero, obviously, 27 and 8. He's a stud. But what stood out to me, all starters above 13 points. Robinson hit 6 threes. That is a winning formula, especially a Miami Heat winning formula.
Any team that does that is usually going to win a game.
All guys are getting above 13 in your starting lineup, and you're getting some good bench points and things like that. You're going to beat good teams like the Jazz.
Right.
But this Jazz team has tons of heart.
Oh,
tons of heart.
They totally could have rolled over and died being down like 24.
Yeah.
I think with like 6 minutes left in the fourth and then brought it back within like 5 at the end of the game, which is crazy. And there was a stat. So these teams played twice within like a week and a half, 2 week span. And the Jazz outscored the Heat 45-10 in the fourth quarter, and the Heat won both games.
Yeah, that's scary because I mean that just shows that does just show what I said, that the Jazz have tons of heart.
Yeah.
They're a team. I mean, you said 14 in the fourth quarter for the Heat in 2 games, or was it
45-10?
Oh, 45-10. So it's like that's ridiculous. The Jazz are a team who can always, they're never out of a game.
Right.
That shows.
They can get hot.
Obviously, I shouted out Quinn Snyder last when we were talking about Coach of the Year. I said that would be like probably my honorable mention because he doesn't get enough credit for the culture he's built there. That is just a culture thing. Clarkson off the bench, Bogdanovich, Mitchell, they all got 20 plus in this game. Conley's struggling, but I'm not worried about the Jazz. I've never had any worry about the Jazz on this podcast.
They're always going to right the ship.
They're always going to be a team that bounces back. They'll win a big game coming up. The Jazz are the Jazz. You know what you're going to get.
Yep.
Next, we got the Warriors, who are the league's hottest team. Obviously, we saw them lose last night to the
Hornets.
To the Hornets. That was kind of a weird game, but in this one that we got, they destroyed the Bulls, who are like probably if I did a power ranking, probably my number 2 right now.
Yep.
Maybe the Nets would have them edged out. It'd be close. But the Warriors destroyed them.
The Nets too.
That's true.
I would have the Bulls at 2 in my power rankings. Then obviously the Warriors at first. They look like the best team in basketball.
Yep, they're 11-2, and then this brings us to the Western Conference Player of the Week. Undoubtedly, it's Steph Curry.
Yep.
Hottest team in basketball. He had 40 points in this one. And like one thing that we just talked about, we were like debating this amongst our like friend group here at college when we were watching this, just watching in awe of what Steph does every night. And we always bring this up, is he harder to guard with the ball in his hand or off ball? Like, what is your take on that?
I honestly think it's off ball with like the sets and things that they do.
And just
like it feels like they can never deny him the ball.
And the improvisation, like
the way he reads
screens, and those aren't all set plays.
Right.
It's all just like, oh, I see a man who I can get my teammate a shot, or they're gonna help.
He always makes the right reads coming off screens. Like if some dude's trying to play over, he'll like either back cut or he'll like stand like at a weird angle on the screen to where Draymond can like float it over because the defender has his back turned.
Or he even knows another thing that I've respected so much about Steph that I tried to integrate into my game when I was training to play basketball is when he has, he's made 2 or 3 threes in a row, he runs off screen so much faster because what he does is he sees, okay, the big is on top of my big when he's setting screen. If I run off this super hard and he does this, Draymond's going to see Looney cut into the basket or Toscano Anderson cut into the basket, and it's going to be a dunk. Yeah. He runs off screens harder.
He attracts so much attention. Even we saw it in the Hornets game. He went to go take a dribble handoff from Draymond, and Draymond just took it and took it to the basket for a dunk.
Yeah.
He attracts so much attention on offense off the ball that it creates so many looks. Like, he probably has the most shots created, not even touching the ball, of any NBA player ever.
How many triple-doubles do you think he would get if screen assists counted?
He'd have one, like, every game.
Because he's one of the best screeners in the game, too, because when he gets so many dudes back-cut layups and things like that because he'll go to set the screen. They'll both jump out because they know he's so good at that screen replace to the three-point line, get the quick shot off. They'll help. It's honestly ridiculous. And then when their bench scores 37 points in a game and he scores 40, you're not going to compete.
You're not. That. And like I said with KD, just the fact that he's like, it seems like he's getting better. Which is, if you told me in 2015 that he would be better than he was then, I'd have thought you were crazy.
Little break in the planned podcast. I just want to have this little debate with you. Is who do you think of those two is harder to guard? Like obviously for me it'd be KD because he's 6'11". I'm saying for their matchup, if you're a 6'3" point guard and your coach just said, "Okay, you got to go guard Steph," or you're a 6'8" mobile defensive wing, you have to go guard KD. What do you think would be harder?
I think personally it would be harder to guard Steph. Yeah. But like with KD, it's like because with Steph you're chasing him around the court constantly. Yeah. And then, like, his quickness and stuff. But, like, with KD, it's not like he's all over the court and stuff. Yeah. It's just crossover pull-up. And it's like you can't do anything about that.
KD's so hard to guard because
you just have to get a hand
no shot's a bad shot.
Exactly.
Because there's no contest.
Yeah.
And so
no dude is contesting a KD shot, like, other than, like, Giannis if he times it right or something like that. But I think it's harder to guard Steph because he's constantly going. With KD, you just have to get a hand up and pray that he misses.
So I do think Steph's harder to guard too because in my experience playing basketball, the constant movement when you're and like it's a weird thing like this is how I experience it. And maybe it's just because I like shooting the ball so much, but it's like I didn't get tired running around on offense. Yeah. But running around on defense was so tiring because you're in a reaction stage instead of just a freelance run around stage.
Yep.
And so like
I had firsthand experience of that. Getting run through hell trying to guard you in practice.
Those defensive guys just must be so tired, and I've never seen one be able to stick Steph for like 35 minutes a game. Like we were seeing PJ Tucker guard KD for 40 minutes.
And he did it every single possession, but I don't know. There's no dude that's going.
There's no way someone could run around with Steph for 45 minutes.
We gotta watch and see like someone that stands out.
Yeah.
Like who
has a good chance? I don't even know who has the best chance because even
it might be
like
Drew.
But Drew's a great on-ball defender. Like maybe Matisse because of his off-ball defense and like some of his instincts. Maybe Tyrese Halliburton.
We're gonna have to watch and find out. See who does the best job of guarding Steph off the ball. With on the ball, it's like okay, he's gonna do what he does. But off ball, just see who like. Although I don't even know if it can be one guy because they have to like switch screens and everything. But if you do that, like if you switch and the guard goes under the screen, then he'll just back up and Draymond will toss over the big's head.
Even if you switch, they throw it to him when the big's on him.
Yeah,
and then it's an ISO. Like I think Steph's the hardest guy in the league to guard in a 5-on-5 game of basketball. Obviously, if you're throwing it to him at the elbow, it's Kevin Durant.
It's KD. But like with the way that you have to guard Steph and he's just running, constant movement. He's never sitting there and watching.
And his teammates are so unselfish, and they're constantly moving too.
Yeah.
The Warriors are the toughest team to play defense
Steve
on right
Kerr
now.
has done a fantastic job with just creating this.
I feel like he also doesn't get enough recognition in our Coach of the Year award.
He doesn't.
Because we didn't even bring him up.
He's got it because like obviously they made great moves and acquired some better players. They got Otto Porter Jr. When you bring Iguodala back,
Iguodala fits the role of the Warriors with the forward who pushes the tempo, plays solid defense, good screener, good cutter, above average shooter.
And like with the team last year, it's like they weren't that much. They didn't have like three of the players or whatever that they have now that they brought in, but like just the way that they were on offense was just so crazy to watch because it just felt like the ball moved so well. It's just guys were knocking shots down, but like with Jordan Poole taking another jump and stuff like that, it's the offense, the way they run it is just so crazy. If you watch, it's like it's just everyone's just crisscross running around like, and they are also sometimes too unselfish.
Yeah,
Like there are multiple times a game where it's like they give one more pass than they need to be, and it's a shot clock violation or something. But Steve Kerr definitely deserves a lot more credit.
Yeah, and then don't even forget number 11's coming back too.
Yeah.
Is it bad for me to say he's probably the third or fourth best shooter ever?
No.
Because
he has to be.
He
has the most threes in a game.
You can't put him over Reggie or Ray.
But like you can't put
probably
anyone, I don't know if you can put anyone else above him.
Yeah.
Like he's hit 14 threes in a game.
Clay is one of the most consistent in the body of work. Like the feet are always the same.
Yes,
shots
it never
always
feels
the
like
same.
he's like off balance or anything.
And it never feels like obviously he has bad games, but his bad games aren't like 0 for 10 or 0 for
right.
You know what I'm saying? Like feels like he's always gonna knock 2 or 3 threes down, and then he's gonna have 8 some games and things. I can't wait to see him come back.
Oh yeah, I'm super excited. And then one more thing. So we just love watching the Warriors.
The Warriors are the best team in basketball to watch right now. Yeah. Obviously, we just shouted out the Nets. Go watch them because of KD. Go watch the Warriors because of the team.
Yeah, like they have just guys that they plugged in. Like Kuminga has come back from injury and is getting good minutes.
Yeah,
it's
playing
not
good
like
defense.
It's like they drafted him as like a project, but like they're putting him in and he's getting minutes.
He's got 2 of the perfect guys to watch. Iguodala and Draymond are the same body size, same wingspan. You know, same came into the league as project players. You know what I'm saying? The same kind of. Obviously, Kuminga is probably a little more vertically. Obviously, Iguodala back in his prime had real, obviously, hops through the roof. But Kuminga is a little more athletic than Draymond Green and things like that. But I could see the mold as the versatile defender, can guard 1 through 4, and then some small ball 5s, things like that.
And they just, like, plug in guys. Like, sometimes Damian Lee will play, like, 2 minutes, but then the next night will have, like, 14 points off the bench. Toscano Anderson minutes are kind of spotted, but he still comes in and plays hard or whatever. Gary Payton has been great.
He had great defense on Levine. They were battling. Levine, we haven't really mentioned the Bulls from that game. He had a pretty good game. DeRozan struggled, but Levine has become that player now where, like, even with a notable defender like Gary Payton, won Defensive Player of the Year in the G League, things like that, you know he's a good defender. Mm-hmm. He's still scoring. He's still getting like we saw him in that high post where it was just like an easy bucket. Yeah. Like Levine is that next level player, and we gotta always shout him out because he's fun to watch too. The Bulls are probably my second favorite team to watch right now. Next, we're gonna move to we just finished watching them and the Celtics play as the Cavs. I have here they've won 6 of their last 7. It's 6 of their last 8 now. Yep. We weren't sure when we were gonna record this. We recorded it after the 7 p.m. games on Monday, obviously. There's 6 of their last 8. They have only lost 2 games in November. Those are those 2. They've beat the Celtics, the Knicks, the Pistons, obviously, all that. They're injured right now, but Mobley had 22 points versus the Celtics, or Garland, 22 points versus the Celtics the first time. Mobley 19-9. Mobley was bad tonight, though.
Yeah, he shot 0 for 11, the Al Horford effect.
That is. Al Horford is in the Defensive Player of the Year rank right now.
He should make easily an all-defensive team, but he didn't play in this first game. The Cavs won, which they came back from 19 to beat the Celtics. This is the second time that's happened this year. But they looked great. Garland is a completely different player without Sexton. Yeah. And I don't think that they can work together because of the way Garland needs to be like in the flow of the game, but he looks great without Sexton. And Mobley he's jumped up to my Rookie of the Year now. After watching him play firsthand, obviously tonight 0 for 11, whatever.
It's a rookie game.
Rookies that happens. You're gonna have a bad game, but like in the game on I think it was Saturday, and he's hitting like these fadeaway jumpers and stuff, and on defense it's
so much control in the post too. He's not like frantic with the
normally
ball.
With like a young big, they're like kind of like you said, frantic and stuff, but it's
loose with the ball too. Yeah. Like he has such a solid
and on this season he leads the league in contested shots. That is crazy for rookie. On defense, yeah. So it's him first, Horford second, Giannis third, and Gobert fourth.
And all that tells me is when I watch Giannis play, he's everywhere on defense. When I watch Al Horford play, he's showing on a screen, getting back, contesting a layup, getting the rebound, all that.
And then Gobert, obviously.
It's already telling me that Mobley is everywhere in help side defense. Yep. Every help side backdoor, every breakdown and perimeter D. He's there to contest the shot. Tells me the future's only up. There's no way this dude ends up being any sort of bust or anything. If the offensive talent is already where it's at now, where he can build off that. Yeah. And then the defense, he's already contesting the most shots in the NBA.
And it's like with defense, it's like that usually gets better as time goes along, just no matter what. Like it's if his offensive game goes along with his defense, then he's just going to be such a great player. As you learn
the defensive schemes inside and out even more, like we even saw Draymond was always a good defender, but once he became that mastermind on defense that we saw, then and Mobley's bigger. He's going to average 11, 12 rebounds a game probably in his prime. And so it's like once he really like dives in and has a full offseason with the coaching staff and things like that, and he can get there mentally too. And he's already a smart player. I can tell by the angles and things. But Evan Mobley's going to be a great player in this league for sure.
Yeah, and Ricky Rubio has turned into Jesus.
He looks like him too.
For the Cavs. It's been like he had 29, I think, in the game against the Celtics tonight. But in that game on Saturday, Tatum, 22 points on 8 of 22 shooting. I have watched nearly like every Celtics game for his first 4 years now, and I can't explain what's going on. Like, shots just aren't going in. He's even shooting free throws bad. It's so weird to watch.
I don't know if it's injury or I don't know if he's fatigued or I don't know. And I'm not a Celtics fan. I haven't, like you said, you've watched every single game, and I don't want to say he's settling, because I say he's settling and then the next possession he's in the paint getting a layup.
He had 8 free throws tonight, which is what he needs to be doing.
And 8 free throws in today's game. Yeah. Like compared to last year, 8 free throws is like he should be getting 8 free throws. But now getting 8 free throws is getting 8 free throws. That's good.
And I just don't other than his rookie year, he started off a bit slow. Yeah. So maybe like sometime soon, hopefully, he breaks out of his shooting slump once Jalen comes back and they can really get into a groove, because their defense has been awesome these past 8 or 9 games, I would say.
You said, like, I think you were telling me their points against, like, 2 games over 100 or something, and one of them was an OT, or maybe 3, one of them was an overtime.
It was... Like, it was the Bucks overtime game, and then the Luka game winner game where the Mavs only had 107.
Yeah. So it's just like, and so since the Declan episode, about 10 days ago, right after you guys watched them play in Orlando, I said, like, my biggest concern was just their defense.
Yeah, and they've stepped it up.
Obviously, having Marcus Smart on the court he's a great defender.
Yep.
Having Al Horford being the defensive player of the year talks is huge.
Yep. And
hopefully Rob is healthy. That's another thing that happened tonight. But, this team, and then I also wanted to shout out Dennis Schroeder.
Yep.
28 points in that one, and then we're moving to the next game. They beat the Bucks. So the Celtics are kind of rolling now.
Yep.
2 of their last 3, correct? Because they lost to the Cavs in the middle of the Bucks game. So 2 of their last 3, Schroeder 38 and 28 points in those 2 wins. In the loss and then the win. Misspoke. He's stepping up with Jaylen Brown out, so hopefully you guys can get healthy. And then if Tatum starts to shoot better, he's going to be scoring 30 a night.
He should be. Yeah.
He scored 27 and 11 in that game.
This is one of his better games of the season for sure. But this game shouldn't have been as close as it was. But I mean, the Bucks were without Giannis, Middleton, or Lopez, but they played pretty damn good.
They're just another one of those teams where championship pedigree. Yeah, they're gonna show up. Allen had 21.
Grayson Allen has been a great pickup for them.
Third most 3-pointers made this year.
It was like 2 seconds and some random dude for who's been one of their best players for this season.
Kind of keeping them afloat.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're 6 and 8, so I'm a little bit worried. But they've been like unhealthy. As long as they can get healthy before like the 65 game mark and things like that,
concerns me. So Middleton's been out for health and safety. Giannis had an ankle sprain, but he's fine, as we know. Lopez back injury kind of concerns me. With back injuries, it's so like sketchy.
And the NBA takes those really serious after like Michael Porter Jr. and some other guys.
Him being 33, 34.
Yeah, he's older.
It's definitely a little concerning. It'll be something that we have to monitor going forward. If he misses, if it's like, okay, well, we're sitting you on the second night of back-to-backs, like that is definitely a little concerning. But if he comes back soon and looks fine, then I think they're good. But it's definitely something that we have to monitor.
Yeah. And then it's just like a common theme in this show. We're pretty consistent with like, I'll never panic with a team that has Giannis on it. You know what I'm saying?
They just won a championship.
I'm never hitting I'm not the guy to come on to here and just yell panic. Like they're 6-8 or whatever. We need to just like totally break down the Bucks. Like they're missing they're missing guys, still competing.
Yeah,
it's just not. It just hasn't been a great start for them, missing guys and being unhealthy.
They'll be fine, I think.
Now to Memphis, who I already on one of our last shows said that I'm not out on the Grizzlies because they have Ja and they're young. I'm not out on them, but I was doubting whether they could really make a playoff run with this team. They've lost 3 in a row, and they lost to the Hornets, the Suns, the Pels. Suns are good. Obviously, they're on an 8-game win streak. The Hornets are an up-and-down team. They beat a lot of good teams. Obviously, they just beat the Warriors. I'm not panicking about the Grizzlies, but I am kind of seeing what I've envisioned this team being.
Yeah, Ja hasn't really slowed down. His shooting has went down a little bit, but it's the guys around him that have kind of slowed down. It'll be interesting to see where they go moving forward. It seems like right now, obviously, it's where Ja can carry them.
Yeah.
But to see some of those role players kind of like diminish their roles, I guess, like they just haven't been as good. It'll be interesting to see if they bounce back. They're obviously in a little bit of a skid, but when Ja's shooting goes down a little bit, they're not going to be.
They're integrating Brooks back into the lineup, so like some of those guard minutes are kind of like at a weird spot. Like Brooks came off the bench, and then just like kind of some weird minutes. Jaren Jackson Jr. had a bad night and they lost, so it's just like they need him to play up to the contract.
He has to be consistent.
Yeah.
That's
consistency, and he's still obviously missed some time last year with injury. Or a lot of time, right? Extended time. And so it's like, I expect him to, bounce the consistency up and things. But I am a little worried about Memphis. They play a tough schedule. They're in the West. Yeah. And so I am a little worried, but I'm not hitting the panic button because they do have a guy like Ja, but little bit worried.
Yeah.
Next, we got the Suns, who are on an 8-game win streak.
Yeah, Chris Paul has been fantastic, to say the least. With Ayton being out, he just returned tonight, is currently playing a game right now. Yeah. But Chris Paul's been just the point god, pretty much. Chris Paul, Devin Booker he's done better than he did to start the year, but still has some shooting struggles.
And then Frank Kaminsky.
Yeah. So, shout out Frank.
Ayton missed 5 games, like Jeff just mentioned, and this is another team, championship pedigree. Right. Made it to a finals. They've obviously had an extended playoff run now. They're a next man up type of team where Cam Payne, he's been through it all, man. Yeah. He's played in every league basketball imaginable. He's like PJ Tucker, where you need guys like that on your team. You need Frank Kaminsky, who's just there to step up whenever you need him. Yep. And so the Suns, obviously, they started the year a little rough. I think they maybe started like 1-2 or 1-3 or something like
maybe
that.
Something like that, yeah.
And then now 8-game win streak. They're back to where I expected them. That top 4 seed race. Suns are always going to be solid. They're going to be as good. Obviously, as good as Chris Paul takes them, but I think even more important, as good as Devin Booker's playing. Yep. Personally, I think Devin Booker is the guy who wins this team games late with his scoring. Obviously, Chris Paul has been their closer in the past, but Devin Booker has the potential to be, this team's rock for like a decade, a legitimate decade. Next, we're going to go to the Lakers. We got to bring up the Lakers. They've been playing a little bit better as of late. They beat the Spurs. That was last night, but they lost to the Wolves in a bad loss. Got destroyed.
Smacked.
I really watched more of the Spurs game. Yeah. So I'm not trying to. They just got killed by the T-Wolves.
Yeah, move on from that one.
Yeah. Talk about the Spurs game. AD was dominant. Yep. It's not rare to see now, but it's just not as on a nightly basis.
Yeah, and with the Spurs, they didn't have Pirtle in that game, so
he feasted.
I don't even know who was guarding him. But yeah, he looked like Anthony Davis.
Yeah, and when you get 36 off the bench from Ellington and Monk had 16, Ellington 15. You don't need Russ to have more than 14. He had 14 in this game. And so I think when you have that shooting off the bench, they have played more lineups with shooting. Like the one lineup I was telling you about was Russ at the 1, Rondo at the 2, and then it was KCP. Or no, not KCP. What am I saying? It was Ellington and Monk, and then Davis. And I was like, oh my gosh, they're so small right now.
Yeah.
But it was fun to watch because they had so much shooting surrounding those two guys.
The only part of that lineup that concerns me is Russ and Rondo on the court. That combo is not great whatsoever.
And I don't think it will continue once they get healthy and things.
No,
obviously, THT's back. He looked good in his first game.
Had like 17 and like 8.
He looks like every year he matures even more, and so he looks great to me. But we haven't talked about San Antonio enough. They're kind of
it's just a low key,
under the radar,
low key team. Always has been, unless they were winning championships.
So they lost to the Lakers, but DeJounte Murray, who's a guy that we love, great defending point guard, great passing. Obviously, the Spurs system, they're moving the ball and things. He had 22 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists, triple double. Keldon Johnson, another young guy, 24 points in that one, who we love. He was on the Olympic team, if you watched any of that. And then Vassell had 19 and 7. Future's bright for San Antonio.
Yeah.
It really is.
I totally agree. They look a lot better than I thought they would.
Yeah.
But like we think, they need a couple more pieces, obviously. Yeah. The part that sketches me out, it was like reaching for Primo.
Yeah.
At like, I think it was 10, and he's not even playing. He's not even on the bench for these games. He's in the G League.
It was a project pick I feel like you could have
he was
gotten
like
an extra
projected
pick.
The second round.
Yeah, like that was a weird pick. No one really knows what happened there. Like I haven't heard a real explanation as to I haven't even heard we heard that the team above us was going to pick him or whatever. Right. We heard a team behind us wanted him. Maybe that's what it was, and we just didn't know.
I guess.
But I really felt like they could have got more value for that pick.
Oh, yeah, totally. But they do look a lot better. DeJounte Murray's getting better. I think he's like top 5 in assists per game this year so far, which is awesome. And then if you have young role players doing well, then it's always encouraging to see that.
Yeah. San Antonio's encouraging, and with I don't know how many years Pop has left, but with the system they have in place, I know the person following up on him, maybe it's Becky Hammond, maybe it's whoever. I don't know who it is. I feel like that's one reason why she's kind of stuck around is because it feels like she could take over, and feels like their run's just going to be forever. The team, if they get a superstar on this roster, they're going to be a playoff team. Yep. And so they're just kind of waiting for that. They obviously lost out on Kawhi. Kawhi would still be on their roster right now if things didn't end ugly. Right. You know, it'd still be Kawhi. The DeRozan years would have never happened. They'd still be going to the playoffs and winning lots of games and things. So they're just waiting on that. They have a good core, good foundation.
Yep.
I'd be happy if I was a Spurs fan. Last thing of the weekend that we wanted to talk about was the Hawks beating the Bucks. Since we were just talking about the Bucks for a little bit, we wanted to bring up this game. Trey had 42 points, 10 assists, 8 rebounds. And one thing I really noticed from that game was he was abusing the switch. Yeah. Portis would switch. He'd get him on. Portis is either coming out on him, he's driving past him for his floaters, or Portis is back. You get one step on him, you do that big Trey crossover to the 3. And he was hitting. When he hits, he has 40 points.
He's been kind of their only constant this year, pretty much, which people were like, oh, he's going to be affected by the rule changes. He obviously hasn't. But everyone else has to be consistent. But they just kind of dominated from the jump. But when Trey hits 7 threes and a half, it's like you're probably going to be winning.
One of the concerns we have for the Hawks, obviously their schedule has been tough. Yeah. They have had inconsistencies, so they have 9 losses, I think.
Yeah,
early
I think
this
they're
year.
5-9,
5-9. Yeah, 5-9 is Hunter got injured. He's one of their vital guys to guard the other team's best player.
2 months, with he needs surgery to repair a tendon in his wrist and his shooting hand.
Yeah, and see, this is like the Hawks last year. They needed that big win streak once they fired their head coach. Right. See, I would be a little bit worried about the Hawks because they're gonna need a win streak to really bounce back in the standings unless they go two wins, 1 loss, 2 wins, 1 loss, which is hard to do in the NBA. It's the NBA. It's really hard. They needed a win streak to get on the right track last year. They're going to need something like that with this rough start. I wouldn't hit panic button on them because of Trey, and they obviously had a deep playoff run last year. But with Hunter injured, they need guys like Reddish, Horter to really step up. Bogdanovich hasn't been as good as I thought he was this year.
Their bench has to be better too. Yep. Gallinari and Lou Williams haven't been the players that they were in the playoffs.
Feels like they've regressed a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, this week's Unsung Heroes are pretty fun.
Yeah.
Obviously, one of your Celtics made it. We got a couple new faces on here, and then one of our favorite role players in the entire league's on this.
Yeah.
And so we start with Dennis Schroeder.
Yeah.
Obviously, I've been bragging about him. 38 points, 28 points. He really was such a great... He just stepped... It was exactly why we created Unsung Heroes.
Yep.
It's the dude who steps up for an injured player. It's the dude who comes off the bench when the team doesn't have any scoring off the bench.
Right.
And he did that because Jaylen Brown was out.
Yeah, he created like a master class against Milwaukee, getting wherever he wanted, getting anything that he wanted, whether it be shooting the three or getting to a little turnaround jumper or just even getting to the basket. He was great, and then had 28 points in the loss to the Cavs. He was just fantastic in that game.
Yeah, he just stepped up.
Everyone else wasn't.
Number 2 is a new name on the list. We wanted to shout him out because we really like his game. He's pure hustle, hard-working. It's Nasir Little of the Portland Trailblazers. He had 13 points, 14 rebounds, and a win over the Rockets.
Yep.
His game is just so perfect to fit off any bench because he just works hard.
Yeah, if
gonna fight for loose balls.
If you're a young guy and you work hard, you're gonna find minutes sooner or later. It's his third year now, so. Obviously, once you develop a bit more, and if
he's
you play
a project player too,
right?
So.
Exactly, and he plays hard, gets pretty consistent minutes off the bench, and produces where he can. Yep. Obviously, like you said, project player, so he's getting there.
Yep. Third, we got Justin Holiday, who you watched a lot of this game. I remember you telling me about. I didn't catch as much of this game. He had 27 points, 6 of 8 from 3.
I think he had like 18 points in 9 minutes.
Yeah, it's 18 like points in 9 minutes.
100% shooting. It was. Yeah. I was watching it and I was like, "Who am I watching right now?" It was kind of ridiculous to watch.
Former Knick legend Justin Holiday, number 3 on our list, Unsung Heroes. Number 4 is Montrezl Harrell, he's not even as much of an unsung hero as he is just like a 6th Man of the Year candidate.
Yeah.
Obviously, Montrezl Harrell's been that dude off the bench his whole career. He had 27 and 6 in 21 minutes in a win over Orlando.
Yeah.
That has been the story of his career, is come in limited minutes, 18 to 24 minutes, and just put up great stat lines, carry that bench scoring, and he was just great.
Come in, out-hustle everyone on the court, feast on young Orlando bigs, pretty much. But it's no surprise that he's doing that with the role that he has now. Obviously on the Lakers, he played like 8 minutes a game or something like that.
He just didn't quite fit the Lakers need a big that's going to slash to the rim and catch lobs, and he just didn't quite fit that. But now he's got a great fit.
Right, exactly.
Great role players around him. It's just a good fit, and I like what Washington has right now.
Yep.
And lastly is probably, if I had to really think about it, other than Carmelo Anthony and other than obviously my Knicks guys, this is probably my favorite bench player in the league. And it hurts me to say that because he's on the Nets. It's Patty Mills.
Yeah.
He had 29 points on 9 made threes.
Yeah, he, ever since, I can remember just seeing him on the Spurs, it was like, oh, I like this guy.
Yeah.
And watching him, do well like this is so fun to watch.
And he's, not going to say he's the bench version of Steph Curry, but he comes into the game and just moves.
Yeah,
he's
always moving
constantly running around screens, and now that he's on a team that can really use, obviously he's going to make a huge impact. He's made a huge impact his whole career.
Right.
But now he could be a difference maker in a playoff series. Mm-hmm. His creation, his shooting, his spacing.
If other guys are struggling, obviously Kevin Durant doesn't really struggle, but say Harden's struggling, he can come in and be that spark plug off the bench.
Okay, so on to one of our last segments of the show today. We're not huge college basketball guys. We're not huge college basketball fans. Obviously, we go to a college and we watch their games and things like that, but we really only watch the big games, what's on ESPN and things like that.
We're casual college basketball
fans, but we did want to touch on 3 prospects that we noticed from the weekend.
Yep.
First is Wade Baldwin.
Yeah.
Stayed in it was University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee, I want to say. Playing for his dad. He's like a 6'10 wing. Yeah. He's projected in the top 10 in the draft right now. His shot is effortless. I showed you that video from his game. Yeah, it looked
kind of... I was like, what? This dude is in college? It just looked like he has, that NBA, prototype skill, body, big wing that can create for himself, kind of like a...
Moves like a wing, too. Doesn't move like a big. He moves like that wing with guard skills.
Kind of like a Michael Porter Jr. being like that 6'10" height.
I like that comp. And I wanted to ask you, because I saw this all over Twitter, does him going to a smaller school like that impact his draft stock necessarily to you?
If he's as good of a player as like everyone says he is, and no, it shouldn't. If you're that good, then there are other guys that have went to small schools and have gone top 5 in the NBA. Yeah. John Morant did it 2 years ago.
Yeah. Scottie Pippen was a D2 guy and went 5th in the draft or whatever. Like, I personally think if the talent's there, go somewhere where you want to show up every day with a good attitude and work hard, refine your skills in a good environment. That's what college is all about nowadays for these guys who know they're going to go to the NBA. Mm-hmm. Like, if you want to go to Duke and you want to play for Duke and you want to be competitive all year, do it. If that's the most comfortable situation. If the most comfortable situation for you is staying at home with your dad and showing up to the gym at 6 every day and just working, getting that NBA skills training, then do it. And if it works, then great. You'll probably get drafted top 5.
Yeah.
And so I have no concerns about him. Next, we got Drew Timme. Every day, I think Drew Timme is more of an NBA player than he was the day before. Like, I had concerns because the vertical's not there.
The athleticism's definitely not there.
But it has gotten better. I can tell he's quicker on his feet. He gives me Sabonis vibes from, obviously, Gonzaga. They both went to Gonzaga.
Then the fundamental side of it.
The roll, the pass, keeps it here, left-hand layup. Like, I think Few is a great coach. I think that his guys are always fundamentally sound players. I think that Gonzaga really is the program to be right now. They haven't won a national title, but they're always competing for it.
They've been competitive for
They beat good teams every single year. They beat Duke a couple years ago. They beat Texas this year. They beat good teams at the beginning of the year. Gonzaga is always one of those top tier teams in college basketball.
Yep.
But Drew Timme, his fundamentals, he had 37 points in that Texas game. Yeah. He looks great.
Which in a college basketball game is kind of crazy.
There's 40 minutes in a game.
Yeah.
37 points is ridiculous.
Yeah. Yep. And then in that game, Chet Holmgren struggled with like 2 points. But, I mean, it's definitely going to be an adjustment for him.
Yeah.
I anticipate, like, first couple weeks, he's probably not going to be...
Yep.
He'll kick it into gear once he like can adjust to the game, because in high school he couldn't get bodied, but like there are bigger dudes in college.
And I do think that it's honestly a positive for him to be on a team where he doesn't have to see if he was on, let's just say for example, Arkansas. He goes to Arkansas. Arkansas's had a good run or whatever, but if you are by far and away the best player on a team, and you're having a struggle, like a bad night, you're going to end up shooting 4 for 18. Yep. You're because you have to take all those shots. It's going to be good for him to be on a team where he doesn't have to force it if he's having an off night.
Right.
Go block shots. 9 blocks through 2 games.
Rebound.
Go get rebounds. Set good screens. Learn how to play basketball. Because in the NBA, if you're a rookie and you're having an off night, you're either sitting on the bench next to the coach, or you're going to be out there setting screens. You're going to be out there playing defense. Like you're not just going to be taking 25 shots if you're having a bad night as
unless
a rookie.
You're on just like the worst team in the league with everyone injured, then it's not happening.
Yep. And then lastly, this isn't a college team, but it's the G League Ignite team. We wanted to keep a little bit of an eye on them, and especially Jaden Hardy, top 10 projected pick. Yep. He's a crafty, 6'3", 6'4" guard. And I showed you that video earlier. He's just shooting with absolute, just like, it's effortless stroke. Very clean stroke off the dribble. 16-9 and then 24-7 in 2 losses.
Yeah, it probably, if I had to, obviously, you can't compare. Like Jalen Green has played 13 games so far, but like getting those pro skills, and then going into the NBA, it's going to be evident, and it'll be interesting to see like how many more people do this G League Ignite thing.
Plus, another thing I wanted to bring up, this is really the first G League Ignite. This year really is the first G League Ignite year for me because they're traveling. Mm-hmm. It's not just a G League bubble.
It's not a bubble. Yeah.
Last year, this year, Jaden Hardy and Marjon Beauchamp, like all these guys who haven't played pro basketball before but are taking that step, are going to get to travel as a pro. They're going to get to stay in the hotel room the night before. Go to meetings. It's not there. You don't have to go to class. You're going to meetings. You're breaking down film.
It's your job now.
Now they're on the road, and so it's a job. Versus last year, they had a bubble and things. It wasn't the same. This year is going to be a real
tournament.
Yeah, this year is going to be a real like job, a test, something that they're gonna have to actually sit down for 8 hours a day and do work. You're gonna have to do your work on the court, work in the film room, your rehab, all that stuff. It's actually a job now, and so that's one thing that I'm looking forward to.
You're getting paid for it
with this Ignite team. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Yep. Next, we got an NBA logo tier list. We're gonna like just quick, probably 5-10 minute
just
segment.
Something fun.
Break down what logos we think are the best in the league right now. We're gonna put them in tiers from S, A, B, C, D, F. Pretty much is what I think the tier list is. And so after this segment, we'll tell you guys the answer to the trivia question. Okay, so just quick and easy here. We're just going to break down our favorite logos. Obviously, right off the bat, I'm going to put the Knicks just in the C tier.
Yeah.
I'm not going to, I like the Knicks logo. I'm going to put the Celtics in the C tier too. We're not going to be super biased with those two logos. But, as you can see, A, B, C, D, F. If we think it's lame, probably put it down low. If we think it's sick, up top. If it's just like whatever, then... And creativity is also... Creativity, the little details we're going to take into account here. It's going to be quick, though. Timberwolves, where do you put this? I put this in a B.
Yeah, I would too.
You think B?
Yeah.
Okay. Trailblazers is really bland, but it is cool how there's no
basketball involved.
No basketball, no numbers, or not numbers, no letters, nothing. I think I'm gonna put this in the C. What do you?
Yeah, I would say that it's not.
We'll do the average of what we think. If I think it's a C, you think it's an F, we'll put it D. But I think it's like a C.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Okay, the Rockets. Okay, so the Rockets are underrated because. So it's just an R with a thing around it, but the bottom of the R is like a jet.
Yeah.
You see that? Like that's got to be an A tier logo or a B.
I would say B for me.
Okay,
just because there's not a lot going on.
You got me with B.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the other thing is is the little halo around the R supposed to be like an O, like Rockets? Like I don't know what what the halo is. It kind of throws me off.
Yeah.
But it's all right. The Atlanta Hawks Atlanta Hawks basketball club. It feels really like soccer, like club. Like I'm not a huge fan of it. I'd probably put it in the D.
Yeah,
honestly,
it feels weird.
Yeah. Okay, the Kings is really bland, but I like the crown.
Yeah,
with the basketball under it. Like I just haven't quite seen an A tier. I would say this is probably B or C for me. What do you think?
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I would go B because of the crown.
The crown's cool. They played into what they, and then obviously the words actually look pretty solid here. I actually like the Sacramento Kings logo.
Yeah.
The Pacers. It's the Indiana Pacers, man. I didn't expect rainbows and fireworks.
Right. It doesn't need to be all that creative. Just
I'm going F. I'm sorry. It's just a P with a basketball in it, and I'm not saying I don't get it. It's a classic team. It's more of a classic. They're gonna have the same uniforms, all that stuff. Denver has got to be an A for me.
Super clean.
There's nothing that says Denver or anything on it, but you just know. You look at it. It's the pickaxe. It's the Rockies with the cool basketball under it. Yep. It's A tier for me. That's one of the better logos. The Mavs for me are a B because it does have it's a basketball shape with the Maverick in it.
Yeah, I'd agree. I would agree with the B. I might have to put the T-Wolves into an A though.
We can do that. I actually agree.
Because I do
the T-Wolves is better than the other three in that tier, so I'll bump it up.
And then with the green, what I assume is the North Star on it sticks out.
Yeah, and and I like it. Yeah. It is okay. It is almost like the Hawks though, with that circle with.
I don't like it. That is the one part that I don't like.
But the basketball with the green star gives it that extra, and the wolf howling instead of the hawk is kind of lame on that one to me. The Jazz. I'm gonna let you go first on this one because I already know what I think. What's your opinion?
D.
D is literally what I thought. It's the note is cool, but it's just jazz with a J. That's a musical note. I'm not a big fan of it. Cleveland Cavaliers. I'm sorry. F.
Really?
Do you like theirs?
I was gonna say C.
Okay, we'll go D then. We'll go the middle.
Because I do like...
It's just a C with a sword through it.
But,
I guess it is a shield.
Yeah.
It is a shield, though.
Say.
I wasn't really thinking about that. Okay. I'll say it's a D.
Yeah.
Because it's not as good as these, in my opinion. Not. Washington Wizards.
Blah.
It's the same as the Pacers. It's an F.
I don't like it.
Clippers, F. It's just the Clippers with LAC and a basketball over it. Well, I don't even know what a Clipper is.
It's no creativity. Their mascot is I don't even know. It's some type of bird.
Yeah.
It's really weird.
I don't get it. The Clippers are questionable. What is your Magic? What do you have the Magic in?
I would say C.
I say C too.
Because it is
C tier.
I like it.
It's not as cool as these,
but it's also not F tier because it does incorporate the basketball, but it's different.
Yeah. See, maybe I might have to bump the Hawks up. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Because I'm about to put the Raptors in the B tier.
Yeah.
Because the claw is just cool,
awesome.
The reason I had to bump the Hawks up is because that Raptors one and the T-Wolves, it's the same style with the basketball in the middle and then the name around it. So I would feel disrespectful to the Hawks.
Because I do like the Hawks colors kind of pop out more than some of those other logos.
And I might end up moving the Wizards up to D because it is also the same. And I like the star. We'll see. The Nets, sorry, F tier, boring. Bottom. Warriors is cool, but
I would go C.
I'm going C or B. I'm going to go C on that one.
Yeah.
I mean, the Thunder. What? It's D. I mean, it can't be better than the Wizards, can it? The Thunder? What? There's nothing. They could have done so much better.
Oh, yeah.
They could have done lightning bolts and Yeah. I feel like that's an F tier logo. The Bulls, that is an A tier.
A tier easily.
It's a bull.
Yeah,
it looks
awesome.
Mean.
And then normally they have with the circle with the basketball in the background, but just the straight up bull is iconic.
Yeah,
great. Philly.
I would say
it's above those other ones.
It's above these ones because of the stars, the 13 stars above the 7.
Yeah.
If you see the 7 that's red, there's 13 stars above it. And then obviously Philadelphia, and if it said Sixers here, it might be a F tier, but it just says Philadelphia. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I like that a lot. The Heat for me, C tier.
I don't really know what else they could do with it.
Fire basketball with Miami Heat under it. I mean, that is cool though. It's kind of like that. The Raptors have the claw, the Heat have the fire basketball. I do think that is cool. If I put the Heat there, I have to put the Suns there too.
Yeah.
There's a lot of mediocre ones. Like we said, there's a lot of mediocre ones. The Lakers logo, it's so... See, we're going creativity and...
You got to put it in C if we put the Knicks and Celtics in because it's the iconic, classic. But it's just a basketball with their name in front of it.
But it's just such a... The C... You know what C should have been is, no real, opinion because, half these are just to me.
A basketball, yeah. It's
so I guess because it's iconic. So I think the creativity is an F, but the iconic wise is an A. So I'm gonna average
in the middle.
Out. Yeah. The Spurs.
I'm gonna go B tier.
You think the Spurs? Yeah, the Spurs have a good logo.
They didn't incorporate the basketball. They do have the spur.
It is different, and then I like how the bottom of the logo is the spur. Yeah. I think that looks cool.
A tier.
The Hornets are A tier. I'm sorry. The Hornets logo's sick. It's, a hornet with the name on it, and then their color scheme is great. Now, call me crazy, but I think the Pelicans are a B.
I would say A because it's pretty much the same as the Hornets.
That's true.
It's just a different animal.
I'll give you the benefit on that one.
It's the same. Obviously it's not the same because the New Orleans is on top, but I do like with the way the Pelican has the basketball. In front of it, and then New Orleans.
In its beak?
Yeah,
that's cool. Yeah,
and with the little pelicans in red, I
like
that.
New Orleans, don't let that distract you from the fact that you're still
terrible.
Have dog crap uniforms. They're terrible. Fix it. But your logo's cool, but uniforms are terrible. Okay, Grizzlies. If we put the Bulls, the Grizzlies have to be A.
That was easy.
The Pistons are fucked. They're last. Sorry. Excuse my language. And then the Milwaukee Bucks, I would say B.
Yes. Because it doesn't have, like, the...
If it was just the Buck and not the Milwaukee Bucks under it, maybe A tier because it's just like those. And I think it's, like, more intimidating than if it has the circle around it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And, like, with the, like, egg white, whatever color that is,
it's
behind it is... but the Buck is awesome. Do we want to change anything?
I'm looking. I like the Wizards logo, man. I can't believe I put them in an F. That's my only one. I think I'm going D with that one.
Okay. I think if we put Philly in D, we got to put Washington in D.
Yeah. Philly's is cool. Like, the color scheme's cool. Obviously, it's their colors, but then, like, the basketball with the gray, I think I like it.
Yeah. I might have to bump the Rockets down to a C. Like...
Looking at the ones in theirs, I agree. Any in these that we want to bounce up? I like the Heat.
I would bump that up to a B.
The Heat?
Yeah.
The Heat is very creative. Mm-hmm. Basketball that's on fire.
Yeah.
It's great.
I'm
gonna be real. I said I wouldn't do this. I'm going Knicks as a D. It's obviously iconic, but it's just nothing.
I might have to bump the Cavs up to a C.
You like the Cavs.
I do like that logo with the shield. It's cool. With the red and the black, I do enjoy it.
Now, I'm going to bump the Celtics to an A. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I said I wouldn't do it.
I wasn't going to say anything because it's like, it's so, obviously there's the iconic, but with having the leprechaun.
And he has the pipe and everything.
The pipe, the cane, the basketball spinning on his finger. Like, it's very creative. Unlike some of like the more original ones, like with the Lakers is just a basketball.
Since we're doing this, though, I'm bumping that down too.
Yeah.
Lakers bump down. The Warriors, because the bridge is cool. Mm-hmm. Got to keep it. The Hawks, it actually is pretty cool with the circle that they incorporated into the Hawk is cool. Blazers is boring, but I would say it's a little bit like the Mavs, where it's your logo but not any like name on it. You know what I'm saying? It's like
kind of like the Magic one too.
Yeah, like those gotta stay. I like our list.
I do too.
Okay, this is our
list.
Let
us know what you think.
Let us know if we're crazy about any of these.
For disrespecting any logo or overrating one. But yeah, let us know in the comments below. Let us know.
As promised, to end today's episode, we got the answer to the first trivia question that is going to start and end each episode. Going back, the question was, hopefully you didn't fast forward, by the way, because if you did, that's cheating.
Shame on you.
You had to watch the episode to get the answer.
Doesn't count.
But if you did fast forward because you are curious and wanted to learn something today, in his 14-year career, how many seasons did Dennis Rodman record more points than rebounds? Total points than total rebounds. We all know him as one of the greatest rebounders ever. Led the league in rebounds, a ton of times. How many times in his 14-year career did he have more points than rebounds in a season? The answer, twice. 2 times in 14 years, he had more points than rebounds.
Which is ridiculous.
And, putting it into perspective, only, a couple guys every year do that. Only a couple guys that average 5 points and 7 rebounds a game do that. Right. It's not.
They don't play as much as Rodman did.
It's not someone who's getting 30 minutes a night in their prime, 35 minutes a night in their prime. Rodman did it twice, and if you're curious, it was his rookie year and his second year.
Which makes sense because he probably didn't figure out the rebounding.
He was a little bit smaller. He wasn't quite as. He was more of a wing than he was a power forward.
Rebounding like he was, how he talks about in The Last Dance. He's like, if it hits here, it's going this way. If it hits here, it's going this way.
He really hit his peak. Obviously, his third year, he had more rebounds than points.
Yeah.
But he really hit his peak with his last year with the Spurs.
Yep. Then
the 3 years with the Bulls, and then to finish his career. That was his peak where he was leading the league in rebounds every single year and stuff. But that was the trivia. Next week, we'll probably find another. Obviously, Rodman is a Hall of Famer and all that stuff, but he was kind of a role player. We're going to find another role player to do a cool trivia question on. Hope you guys learned something. That's kind of the goal with the trivia is learn something. Right. Learn something that you never really thought about.
Something unique and something creative. And if you did like it, like the video and subscribe. And then leave us a comment. Even comment on our TikToks, anything like that. Do you want to see anything? Do you disagree with our takes? Do you want to do you even want to come on the show? If some people want to come on.
If you want to come on the show, do maybe like a trivia segment or do a tier list with us or, something fun, just let us know.
Or if you're a fan of a certain team and
we aren't talking about them enough, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep, so just like, subscribe. We appreciate it. We'll respond to anything. Thank you. Peace out.